President Joe Biden is making waves as his term begins to wind down by issuing a federal ban on offshore oil and gas drilling for most of the coasts around America. But the question remains, how will this affect the Permian Basin and New Mexico? And the Albuquerque City Council has elected a new president and vice president to preside over the body. We'll find out who that is when we speak to Journal reporter Noah Alcala Bach. Plus, the Lobos, fresh off their overtime thrilling win over the Nevada Wolfpack, get set to tip off against the Wyoming Cowboys in Laramie before they come back to Albuquerque on Saturday for a prime matchup against Mountain West rival San Diego State. It's Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. I'm Gino, and we'll have more on those stories plus a look at other headlines from our newsroom coming up on the Leading News. President Joe Biden has announced a 628 million acre federal ban on offshore oil and gas drilling, which covers areas of the east and west coast of the United States, the eastern portion of the Gulf of Mexico, and parts of the northern Bering Sea. The announcement has left many wondering why Biden waited until the waning moments of his term to announce this ban, and how it will affect the Permian Basin and New Mexico's oil and gas industry. To answer these questions, I'm now joined by Albuquerque Journal Assistant Business Editor Megan Gleason, who's been following this issue. Megan, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, Gino.
So Megan, for our listeners, can you explain exactly what President Biden announced on Monday and what it means?
Yeah, so the president announced a new ban on future offshore oil and gas leases. It's along federal waters and it has no expiration date. So the ban includes areas off the east and west coasts, the northern Bering Sea and the eastern Gulf of Mexico, but it doesn't affect large parts of the Gulf of Mexico where most of the U.S. offshore drilling is taking place.
So, Megan, this announcement comes at a really interesting time because President Biden only has a couple weeks left before his term is up and he leaves office. So why make the announcement now?
Yeah, that's the thing that's drawing a lot of controversy. With only 2 weeks left in office, some people are questioning why now and why this didn't happen years ago. And President-elect Donald Trump has already said he's going to try to come in and undo this ban. But whether it has a major effect remains to be seen because it's not where most U.S. offshore drilling takes place anyway.
And Megan, you touched on a really interesting part of this story right there. President-elect Trump has already said that he wants to remove these protections that President Biden has announced, but is that actually something he can do once he assumes the office?
It's going to be hard. It'll be difficult for him to do. The way that the memoranda that Biden put out, it would probably require an act of Congress to repeal. So although Trump has come in and said he's going to undo this on day one, it's probably going to be more difficult than that.
And Megan, obviously when you utter the words oil and gas, a lot of people in New Mexico, their ears perk up because that is one of the largest industries and one of the largest moneymakers in the state. Will this ban affect New Mexico in any way?
Maybe. Experts say it really depends on how the transfer to a Trump administration is going to go. But one person I talked to, Larry Behrens with Power the Future, said that he could potentially see down the line Permian Basin producers trying to ramp up drilling to compensate for less offshore drilling in the future.
I can see in the longer run producers looking at the Permian to try to maybe compensate for that in the future, but it all depends on how it's going to shake out both policy-wise and legally in the courts over the next 6 months.
The Center on Western Priorities said it doesn't really make sense anyway because the U.S. also has thousands of approved but unused drilling permits, including thousands in New Mexico's Permian Basin. So it kind of remains to be seen.
So Megan, definitely some very interesting developments as President Biden has announced this ban. We'll see what happens next, but thank you so much for joining me and sharing the latest on it.
Thank you.
The Albuquerque City Council has elected a new president, but who exactly is it? I'm now joined by Journal reporter Noah Alcala Bach, who has that answer. Noah, who's the new president?
So Brooke Bassan was just elected. She represents the northeast side of the city. It's also worth noting that she is the Albuquerque Journal's city councilor. But yeah, she's been on the council since 2019. She narrowly won re-election in 2023, and now she's going to head the council.
And Noah, you mentioned it. Bassan's been on the council for 6 years, but was her name on the radar when it came to who were the favorites to become the president?
You never know. But yeah, I was anticipating she might take either a president or vice presidential or vice president role, and that's what we got.
And Noah, can you tell us a little bit about the rest of the leadership the council has? Who's going to be the vice president, so on and so forth?
Yeah, so I think this is interesting. When Bassan took office in 2019, Clarissa Pena, the most tenured member of the council, was the council president, and she has tapped Clarissa Pena to be her VP. Renee Grout, who was serving as the VP for the previous year, is going to lead the committee of the whole. So that is your leadership.
So, Noah, now that the city council has its leadership in place, I would imagine attention now turns to the issues that are most pressing to the city, housing being one, for example. What can citizens expect out of this new council leadership as far as voting and where they stand on issues?
Well, Bassan she does have kind of a voting record of being a moderate Republican, and Pena's is more of a moderate Democrat approach. So, I do think that we will see, housing is not a political issue, and you said it right. It's probably the most pressing issue facing the city right now. You've got 5,000 people by the mayor's office estimates that have some sort of shelter instability. So I definitely think we'll see the council and the administration try and pass new legislation that can help Albuquerque's housing woes or help solve Albuquerque's housing woes, I should say. And yeah.
Albuquerque Journal reporter Noah Alcala Bach with the latest on the new leadership for the city council. Noah, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Gino. Take care.
After a thrilling last-second overtime victory over the Nevada Wolfpack, the UNM men's basketball team is getting set to take on back-to-back Mountain West rivals as they tip off against the University of Wyoming on Tuesday night and then San Diego State back home on Saturday. The team will look to continue their winning ways behind senior forward Nelly Jr. Joseph, who was named Mountain West Men's Basketball Player of the Week. I'm now joined by Albuquerque Journal reporter Geoff Grammer, who covers the Lobos for us. Geoff, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Geoff, you can't really say enough about Nelly Jr. Joseph's performance. He has been a key contributor in back-to-back wins for the Lobos against Fresno State and obviously against Nevada. His performance as of late has been super impressive.
Yeah, this is he was named Mountain West Player of the Week for the second time on Monday. He was also named in the first week of the season the Player of the Week, and then sort of I don't want to say faded away by any stretch, but he kind of started the season so aggressively and so impressively that I think Lobo fans maybe considered what he did the next 6 weeks maybe kind of a step back in some ways. He's actually been playing really well. But then last week he kind of stepped it back up and had a really dominant week where he had a double-double in a road win at Fresno State, 10 points, 12 rebounds. And then in the Friday night game against Nevada, he really had a huge game, frankly. He not only had 20 points, which is good enough, that would have been good enough for probably being considered Player of the Week, but he also had 10 rebounds, 3 blocked shots, a steal. And of course, for those who watched, heard, or read, or covered in any way, followed in any way, social media on late Friday night or maybe throughout Saturday, in overtime with Nevada ahead by 1 point, the ball's loose, kind of rolling around on the ground a little bit on the Lobo side of the court as the overtime clock was expiring, and Nelly Jr. Joseph, about 15 feet from the basket, reaches down and 6'10", not a great free throw shooter, frankly, but about at the free throw line, 15 feet out, kind of just picks it up and hits a jump shot for the game winner as the buzzer sounded and as time expired. And the pit just went crazy. 14,622 fans in the pit, just erupted. And it was a pretty special game, not just for Nelly Jr. Joseph, but also for the program, because it was the 1,000th Lobo basketball game being played that night, and just all around turned into a pretty special moment for him and the program, because it was a milestone game and frankly one of the most memorable finishes that arena's ever had.
And Geoff, the Lobos now riding a 2-game win streak. They're coming up against 2 Mountain West rivals in the University of Wyoming and obviously the big one against San Diego State on Saturday. What do you expect to see out of them this week?
So I'll do the quick first one, the trip to Laramie, to Laradice, I like to call it, where I believe last I checked my little weather app on my phone, I think it'll be a low of 7 degrees tomorrow when I get up there. The team flew up there today. I actually am going up there Tuesday. So it is painfully cold in Laramie, Wyoming this time of year, and the wind is usually what does you in. But luckily they're not playing outside, of course. So the Wyoming team game is one that could be kind of a hiccup for the Lobos if they look past it, because Saturday's game is so big. Wyoming is a team good enough to knock the Lobos off, especially in Laramie. But their leading scorer, the number 2 leading scorer in the whole conference, is injured right now and kind of a game time decision. So we'll see if he even plays. So the Lobos should win that game tomorrow in Laramie, but no reason in looking ahead too much for them. But we can look ahead to Saturday, where the Lobos host San Diego State, which is the kind of probably the biggest rival within the Mountain West of the Lobos has been San Diego State. They're the team that's won the most championships in the league. A year ago, they came as a ranked team to Albuquerque for a midday game that was broadcast on CBS, just like this one this Saturday will be at 11 a.m. on CBS, not CBS Sports Network, not the cable network, but the actual over-the-air waves. Even if you just have rabbit ears, CBS, that you can watch it. So it'll be a big game. San Diego State came in ranked last year and played the same midday CBS game, and the Lobos, in a sellout, beat them by 18 points, and it was kind of a coming out party sort of game for the Lobos a year ago. And this Saturday, they're expecting another sellout, and we'll see how it goes.
Albuquerque Journal reporter Geoff Grammer with the latest on the UNM men's basketball team. Geoff, thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
In other headlines from the newsroom, New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres has filed an emergency restraining order to block Western New Mexico University President Joe Shepard from receiving a $1.9 million severance package before he steps down on January 15th amid ethics investigations. Torres claims the severance deal misuses public funds meant for education and violates public policy. The AG is also seeking a court hearing and completion of a state audit into the university's spending before any payment is made. Shepard, who has served as the university's president since 2011, faces allegations of $360,000 in wasteful spending on luxury trips and furniture alongside his wife, ex-CIA agent Valerie Plame. The State Ethics Commission and Higher Education Department is also auditing the university's finances. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham recently called for the entire university's Board of Regents to resign. So far, only 2 members have stepped down. The board is set to meet on Tuesday to address Shepard's contract and the ongoing presidential search. Meanwhile, the University of New Mexico School of Medicine has undergone a leadership transformation, appointing several new leaders to key positions over the past 5 months. Dr. Michael Richards is serving as interim executive director of the UNM Health System after replacing his predecessor in August, after UNM President Garnett Stokes emphasized the need for hospital staffing and medical school expansion. New department chairs include Dr. Griffith Harsh for neurosurgery, Dr. Jennifer Edgoose for family and community medicine, Dr. Shamila Dadasaki for surgery, and Dr. Diane Rimple for emergency medicine. Each brings a wealth of experience. Edgoose specializes in health equity and disparities, Dadasaki is a prominent trauma surgeon and academic leader, and Rimple has helped advance emergency care initiatives at UNM since 2001. UNM Dean Dr. Patricia Finn highlighted these changes as part of a vision to enhance healthcare delivery, expand programs, and grow New Mexico's healthcare workforce to meet the rising needs. Looking for some things to do today? The Westgate Heights Public Library is hosting a Trading Tuesday, toasty and warm comfort food from 11 to noon. Animal Tales with the ABQ Biopark is taking place at the Pedro Public Library from 11 a.m. to noon. Family event including Danae Tea and Winter Stories is taking place at the International District Library from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast. Today you can expect isolated snow showers after 5 p.m., partly sunny skies with a high near 40. As for tonight, scattered snow showers are expected mainly between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m., cloudy skies with a low around 20. Looking ahead to Wednesday, isolated snow showers are expected to continue before 11 p.m. Cloudy with a high near 39. And on Wednesday night, partly cloudy skies will continue with a low around 18. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. For the leading news, I'm Gino Gutierrez.